Yo, what up guys, your boy Grizzly, welcome back to another video. Today we're breaking down one of the best cards of the year, UFC 328, Strickland, Chimeav, Tyra versus Van. This is an excellent card. We got 13. Almost every fight is very competitive. Yeah, almost every fight is very competitive. Besides like one, which is a T-Bill fight, but besides that, every fight is relatively. What is the strength of schedule? Is this new? I'm assuming this just means the competition they've gone against. But does the lower number mean better competition? Because Mike Tulio definitely has not fought better people than Roman. I'm assuming the higher the number, the better the competition. It has to be, because Yaroslav Amosov is 7, and he's only went against Neil Magny. Alright, let's get into it. Clayton Carpenter versus Jose Ochoa. This fight should definitely be a little bit more slanted towards Ochoa, because Ochoa is actually incredibly talented. Yes, he's on he's, what is it? In the UFC's 1 and 2. But look at the level of competition he's going against. He went against a ranked person in Almabayev, gave him problems. Knocked out Cody Durden, which is, in hindsight, very good win. Because he just... Rafael Filio just lost to Cody Durden. Pretty embarrassing fight. Rafael couldn't get the wrestling off, couldn't really do anything well in that fight. And Clayton Carpenter got fucking mogged by Rafael Filio in his last fight. He also had a rough debut against Tagir Ulanbekov, who is not all that. I think Clayton has to embrace the grindy style in this for the wrestling, and I don't think he will be able to do that. We saw Ochoa have really good defensive jiu-jitsu. He had great scrambles. He was doing really well against Asir. Almabayev took him down a bunch of times, but he kept getting up. At one point, he had Almabayev back. And with Clayton, we just see him fall in love with his hands too much, and on the feet, it's night and day. Ochoa has so many more weapons. His kicks are deadly. His knees are deadly. He has great boxing. Clayton probably has more one-shot power, but I think the more weapons are definitely leaning towards Ochoa, and I think Clayton is definitely durable enough to make it to a decision. But it's the tale of two fighters here. I mean, I think Clayton is on a skid right now. I don't think he could get cut from the UFC after this. But I mean, flyweights don't really get cut. They are kind of, far and few between. I have to lean Ochoa. I think Ochoa's competition is better. He had a really competitive fight with Kavanaugh. He almost finished Kavanaugh to the body in round, I think, with 3. And we just haven't seen Ochoa get, mogged like we did. Like, Clayton got submitted pretty quickly by Filio. Tagir pretty comfortably beat him 30-27. Ochoa has not been destroyed in a fight, and Clayton has. I mean, I just don't think Clayton offers so much more in the wrestling that it's a confident pick against Ochoa. I think Ochoa could be a ranked opponent right now. So I'm going to land with Ochoa winning by decision, pretty dominantly, probably 30-27. I mean, I think Clayton could get some early success with the wrestling, but we haven't seen his gas tank over 3 rounds. Again, no one really pushes a pace. I mean, Edgar Shirez, that's a really good win. But Edgar is kind of getting into his own now. He wasn't as good back then. And you'll see why I'm talking about Edgar later when I pick against Joshua Van. I mean, Lucas Racha, good win. I'm going with Ochoa by decision. I think he's the much more technical fighter. I think he has more ways to win this fight, and I don't think Clayton really has anything on the feet for Ochoa. Moving on. Baisang Gore Susakayev versus Jorgen Santos. This dude Jorgen Santos could fraud check Susakaev here. I am picking Susakaev, but he concerns me. He really does concern me. Santos, hit or miss, dude. He lost to Ozzy Diaz in a fight that I think he arguably won. Jorgen walks forwards, throws incredible volume, builds into a fight as it goes on. Really durable, really tough. He just won't give up. He keeps coming. And his pressure is 10 to none, or 1 to none. He walks forwards, he throws high volume, and I think he does have power in his hands. I think that could give Susakaev problems. We've seen Susakaev get hurt by a lot of people. Eric Nolan, in his debut, nearly knocked out Susakaev. Eric McConaughey was giving him so many problems. Bagsangor fights to the level of his opponents, and I really hate when he does it. Because he's talented. He's incredibly talented. But I think he thinks he's better than he actually is. Because he tries to play around way too much, and he always gets hurt because of it. I think he's a much more technical fighter. I think he has way more ways to win this fight against Santos. And that's why I'm picking him. But I think this will be a much more competitive fight than people are giving it credit for. Like, I don't think this is a minus 650. Like, minus 300 would be where I would put the line. The kicking game of Susakaev, the power is definitely leaning towards Susakaev. The technical counter ability, the wrestling, the submissions, all leaning Susakaev, but the gritty volume of Santos is going to give him problems. And the pressure. We have seen him kind of wilt under pressure. So I'm going to go Susakaev by decision. I don't think he's going to get the finish. Even though he is... Has he ever gone to decision? I think he went to decision against Eric. No, he didn't. Has he ever gone to decision? Who did he go against? Shane Sobnowski. Who the fuck is this? Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Beating up on cans, I see. I think this goes to decision, and I think that win against Danny Barlow really showed me that Santos isn't as bad as I thought he was. I'm curious, hold on. In this line... Can I not click on the fight? I want to see what the line was for him and Ozzy Diaz. I could have just clicked the event here. Oh. Where is it? Right here. What was the line? Oh, okay. Minus 200. I thought it was like plus 1,000. Or minus 1,000. Pat Sabatini versus William Gomez. This is another 50-50 fight. If you're betting on this card, you can make a whole lot of money if your picks are right. I'm going Sabatini. I picked against Sabatini in his last 3 fights. I picked him to beat Jonathan Pierce. I picked Brito to knock him out. I picked Chepe to knock him out. For the same reasons why people are picking Gomez. Pat Sabatini, very hittable on the feet. Not the best striking. Very questionable chin. Very slow on the feet. But his wrestling is phenomenal. Like, his control of a fighter when they're on the ground is, like, unmatched. He can hold them down. He can find submissions. He lands ground and pound. They don't get up. Once you get taken down, he has incredible scrambles. He's incredibly strong for his size. He is undersized for the weight class. While William Gomez has really good takedown defense, he's very snappy on the feet. He keeps range pretty well. But he fights way too close. What was his last few fights? Robert McCullough, which is a very close fight. Probably shouldn't be a unanimous. He lost to Hyder Emil during a split. He beat Joe Anderson Brito by split. Francis Marshall split. 4 of his last 5 fights have been robberies or a split decision. I just can't pick him because when Sabatini wins a fight, he separates by a lot. He 30-27s people. Gomez wins by a few punches. And I don't think he will be able to separate in this fight. I think Gomez is going to have a few successful moments on the feet. Sabatini will get the takedowns, even though Gomez has some of the best takedown defense in the division. I think the pressure, I think how skilled Sabatini is at getting the fight to the ground, I think it's going to be way too much for Gomez. Gomez has never fought the level of wrestler that Sabatini is. And I think Pat Sabatini has seen William Gomez's style. He fought Lucas Almeida, who's kind of similar. I mean, Joe Anderson Brito is one of the most dangerous strikers in the division. Has a win over Diego Lopez. Pretty much made him look like he's not UFC level. 30-26 him. And Gomez went life and death with him. I think on the feet Gomez destroys him. I think he's way faster. I think he's way more technical, Pat Sabatini. And if Pat Sabatini can't get this fight to the ground, I think Gomez wins this. But I believe in the ability of Pat Sabatini, and I can't will myself to pick against Pat again. I don't think Pat's going to find a finish. I think William Gomez will be able to deny the submission attempts. I don't think he'll be able to get up. And I think Sabatini wins this either 29-28 or 30-27. I don't think Gomez is really that high level. I mean, I think he's like in that like 25 to 15 range. I think he's a really good fighter, but I don't think he'll ever crack the top 15. And I think Pat Sabatini could be. I mean, he's in line. The winner of this is in line for a ranked opponent. And on DraftKings, I think the odds are a little bit closer. I think he's a plus 160 or a minus 165. I'm gonna go Pat Sabatini by decision. Roman Kopylov, formerly one of my favorite fighters, versus Marco Tulio. Both of them are coming off losses. Roman Kopylov's is a little bit better because he did get beaten up by Gregory, but Marco got fucking slimed out. I'm gonna go Marco here by decision. Marco just has more avenues to win. We've seen Roman Kopylov wilt and become gun shy and scared of people that pressure him and have incredible power. That's what happened with Gregory. Gregory was able to walk forwards, throw heavy volume, throw heavy punches, and Roman Kopylov kind of just stands there and takes the punishment and hopes that you gas out. And the thing about Marco is when he is having that success, when he's punishing his opponents and they're not really giving much offense, he usually finds the finish and he doesn't really gas out. And I think he's going to be able to dominate Roman Kopylov here. I think he's a very technical striker. I think he has much more dynamic ability than Roman. I think Roman's faster. Both of them have really good kicks. I think the durability is definitely on Roman's side. I don't think he's ever been knocked out. And I think Roman will definitely win the third round. But I think Marco Tulio separates himself way too much in the first two rounds. I think we could probably see Roman get knocked down. Just the amount that Roman throws, or the amount that Marco throws, the different angles, the knees, the kicks, the power that Tulio has. I think it's going to be way too much for Kopylov, and I don't think he's going to do enough to win rounds. And I don't think Roman's going to implement a wrestling game plan here. And again, the wrestling, I think Tulio definitely has better takedowns, better control, definitely has a better submission game. I definitely am going Tulio by decision here. I think Tulio can box up Kopylov. And I mean, that Tresean Gore fight, definitely looking better in hindsight because of what Gore did to Azamat. CLD's a ranked fighter. I mean, he did destroy Marco. Io Pateri, I mean, you watch that fight. This dude cheated to win that fight. I mean, he's just dynamic. Multiple spinning attacks. That's descriptive. I don't know. I'm going Marco Tulio by decision. Oh, no, we're not breaking down this. We're breaking down this one. This is the Battle of the Unks. Jared Gordon at 37, coming off a fight where he got hit by a car a day before, versus 63-year-old Jim Miller. And I think this is a pretty easy win for Jared Gordon. Jared Gordon beat Paddy Pimblett. He beat he definitely beat Nasrat. Slimed out Thiago Moises. And I mean, we've learned that Rafa Garcia is pretty talented. And he was giving Rafa some problems in the first and second, and then he just got wilted in the third, coming off of a car accident. Jim Miller just doesn't have that dog in him anymore. He doesn't have that pop he once had. He doesn't have the wrestling he once had. You can kind of just see him. He slimes out terrible opponents, but when he goes against someone talented, he does kind of just lose. I mean, he lost to Chase Hooper, who was on a 2-fight KO streak. I think Jared Gordon's boxing ability, I think his striking ability is going to be too much for Jim Miller. I don't think Jim Miller is going to be able to wrestle Jared Gordon. The thing I'm worried about here is Jared Gordon does shoot some sloppy takedowns, and Jim Miller has a nasty guillotine. I could see Jim Miller subbing Jared Gordon, so that is a prop some people could play. But, and I mean, Jim Miller is pretty durable. I don't think Jared Gordon's going to get the KO. If I was a betting man, I'd put this to go to the distance. Two old men, I don't think either of them really want to finish the other. I think Jared Gordon cruises to a decision, 29-28, just landing the more significant shots, throwing higher volume. And yeah, I mean, there's not much to say. This is a pretty easy fight. There's a reason why it's a minus 315. I'm excited to watch this fight. This is definitely the fight of the night for the people that aren't besides their title fights. This is the best fight of the night. Grant Dawson. It's hard to pick Grant Dawson. I was one of the very few people that picked Manuel Torres to knock out Grant Dawson. I said that Grant Dawson is a soy boy, and if he gets hit, he goes down. He cannot take a punch. He doesn't have the heart to be a fighter, and as soon as he gets hit, he kind of gives up. He got knocked out by a stiff jab by Bobby Green, and that is why I'm picking Rebecki. Rebecki went to a split decision war against Maitak Orbla. He lost to Chris Duncan in a war where he could have won, and he lost to Ludovit Klein. Again, in a pretty competitive fight. He only loses against very elite talent. While on the other hand, Grant Dawson, if he can't get off the wrestling and he can't control his opponents, he can't win. He's incredibly open on the feet. He has no power on the feet. He can't gain any respect on the feet. If you hit him, he goes down. And his striking is terrible. He's incredibly slow, incredibly looping shots. There's just a lot of problems with Grant Dawson's striking game. And I can't see him running a wrestling clinic on Rebecki, who is a good wrestler in his own right, has pretty good jiu-jitsu, pretty good submissions, is the much more veteran opposition, the much stronger, the much more powerful, by far the better striker, the much more durable fighter, the person that's been through much more adversity. There's just a lot of reasons for me to pick Rebecki. He's the underdog here. He's obviously 33, but they're around the same age, but Rebecki has a lot more fighting years. That fucking Oilblade fight took 5 years off of his career. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the way Grant Dawson fights. I think he's a great wrestler. If Grant Dawson can take down Rebecki, I think Grant Dawson can win this fight. But I fear that the takedown defense of Rebecki is going to be too much. I don't even, this could end in the first round. I think Rebecki could finish Grant Dawson in the first round. Let me go through Grant Dawson's, actual record. Has he gone against any, power punchers? Nope. I mean, he beat Jared Gordon. That's a good win. Joe Selecki. I didn't even know this dude was still in the UFC. He beat Rafa. That's a really good win. But again, Rafa had a bad beginning of his career. Diego Ferreira, good win. I mean, I definitely lean the cardio is on Grant Dawson's side, so if this goes to the distance, I think Grant could win. But I don't see Grant winning a decision here. Because I think Rebecki's just going to have an onslaught of damage. And it's going to be way too much for for Dawson. So I'm going to go Rebecki by round 2 KO. Or decision. But I'm going to stick with the KO pick. I definitely think KO is a really good prop here. And I think the prop's like plus 300. For some reason, people think Grant Dawson's really, really good. Like, I don't think Grant Dawson will ever be ranked. He might have already been ranked. He might have been 15. But I don't think he'll ever be ranked again. Talking about being ranked. Joel Alvarez versus Yaroslav Amosov. Now, I see people picking Joel Alvarez because of he was a Bellator fighter. I picked a former Bellator fighter in Patchy Mix, and we all know what happened with Patchy Mix. He got fraud checked multiple times and then lost to some Japanese guy. Yaroslav is different. Yaroslav is 29-1, and he lost against a good fighter. Jason Jackson is really good. He's fighting on the Netflix card, I believe. Joel Alvarez has the style to lose to Yaroslav. Watching back almost all of Joel's UFC fights, the only fights I didn't watch was the Vicente Luque fight, because fuck that fight, and this fight, the Mark Dakashi fight. I watched the Arman, I watched the Demir, I watched the Alves Brenner, I watched Jakar Close, I even watched some some regional fights from him. He's incredibly talented. Both of them are incredibly talented. On the feet, I lean Joel Alvarez. He's much more fluid. He has much more dynamic ability. His kicks are much more powerful. And I think the power is definitely on Joel's side. He's much more fluid on the feet. He's faster. He's more powerful. He throws a hell of a lot more. But he does slow down. He has deadly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Fantastic submissions. But he pulls guard, and he allows himself to be taken down and controlled for so long because he loves working off his back. He has deadly arm bars off his back, deadly triangles. He has a submission game off of his back. But he has terrible takedown defense, and part of that is because he's willing to go to the ground because he likes being on his back. He's confident in that. He allows himself to be taken down. And Yaroslav is incredibly good at wrestling. His ground game is beautiful. He's incredibly good. He's very strong. He doesn't give any openings for submissions. He is very active on the ground. Deadly submissions, deadly ground and pound. Great control. And I think what's going to do it here is Joel's going to let Yaroslav take him down. And I think Yaroslav's going to be able to control him, land elbows. And I think the damage that Yaroslav's going to do on the ground is going to be too much for Joel, and I think Joel's going to lose a decision. On the feet, and Joel's going to get tired eventually. Yaroslav seems to have an endless gas tank. This dude does not get tired. His pressure on the feet, he'll just constantly walk forwards. He's a really stiff jab. He's highly durable. I don't think this is going to be a finish for Joel. He's never been knocked out. He has good leg kicks, which is also a problem for Joel. Joel struggles because of how heavy he is on his front foot. He gets his foot hammered in most of his fights. Yaroslav's very unpredictable on the feet. Like, the way he moves, the way he throws. He's a bit stiff. He's hard to counter. And he has really good defensive wrestling, Yaroslav. I don't think there's an outlet for Joel to win besides being on the feet. And I don't see Yaroslav accepting being on the feet for 15 minutes. I think he gets taken down. I think Alvarez gets taken down, and I think he doesn't try and get up. I think he looks for the submissions on his back. It's why he lost against Arman. It's why he lost against Demir. I mean, he was being controlled in what fight was it? Not the Drakkar Close. It was before this. But he just gets controlled for long periods of time. He just settles on his back and tries to look for submissions. And sometimes he lands it. Where was it? Was it against Demir? Hold on, let me check. He won by armbar against, I think, yeah, I mean, was it against Demir? Where is it? No, not this fight. Where was it? What fight was it where he got an armbar? It was in the UFC, not this one. He got controlled in this one, by the way. He settled on the guy. This guy, Alexander Yakakayev, got an armbar up bottom, but he was being controlled and he let himself get taken down. Yaroslav is not no chump on the feet. He's a good fighter. He's very well rounded. And I think he beats Joel Alvarez. I think he's a better welterweight. I think he fills in the weight more. He's a heavier dude. Joel's definitely has the height and reach advantage. And I think that is going to be a problem for Yaroslav on the feet, but I think Yaroslav can get in the clinch, get some trip takedowns, and Joel loses by control time and damage on the feet, on the ground. I mean, there's no reason to fucking... Atiba's gonna slime out Ozzy Diaz in the first minute and a half. There's no reason to break down this fight. Atiba needs to step up in competition. He just beats up on these random people, bro. Look at his last 5 fights. Puliev's not terrible. Trayshawn Vines, I think they just beat up on a DoorDash driver. Robert Valentine, who just got his first win against an Uber driver. Jose Medina, who just fucking is just Mexican. And never seen this man in my life. Actually, this guy Yurio Naito gave him problems. Gave Atiba problems. Probably the hardest fight for him. Ozzy Diaz is just a boxer. Both of his losses are by round 1 KO, I think, yeah, against Ming Yang Zhang and Joe Pyfer. I mean, he beat Jorgen Santos, but Jorgen doesn't have any power. I think Atiba just walks down Ozzy Diaz and puts him on a t-shirt. This is another fight I don't feel like I need to break down. 29 and 22. Gang. Let's see the last time he won a UFC fight. He had some success in bare knuckle fighting, you gotta give him that. Tied with Jose Aldo. UFC. Last fight he had, that he won, was in 2018. I mean, Jeremy Stephens, he's a durable boxer. That's all. He's very powerful. He's the hardest hitting 145er. Incredibly powerful. Good boxer, but he's stiff. He's 39 years old, and he's a bad 39 years old. He has a bunch of ring rust. He doesn't really fight in the UFC. He's had 2 fights in the last 4 years in the octagon. Bobby Green is on a win streak, knocking out Lance Gibbs. I don't know how that was a split. Knocking out Daniel Zellhuber. I think he's too elusive. I think he's too fast. His counter game is going to be a lot for Jeremy Stephens. If Jeremy Stephens lands, he could knock out King Green because of his chin problem, but I think he's too elusive. He's gonna have fun in there. I think he's just gonna style on Jeremy Stephens for 15 minutes, and there's a reason why the odds are like that. I'm gonna go with Bobby Green by decision. Sean Brady versus Joaquin Buckley. This is a tale of both of them going against their archetype that they lose to. Sean Brady struggles heavily against explosive, powerful, athletic fighters. That's exactly what Joaquin is, and we've seen that Joaquin got destroyed by Usman, and he got taken down a few times by Colby. I'm leaning Joaquin Buckley because I don't think Sean Brady has the fighting gene. I don't think he has the heart to win a brawl, and Joaquin's always going to make it a brawl. And also, I feel like people are underrating Colby Covington and Kamaru Usman. Those are two of the best wrestlers that welterweight has ever, or middleweight has ever seen. Or welterweight, yeah, it is welterweight. Those are two of the best wrestlers welterweight has ever seen. Kamaru Usman, who's arguably the GOAT of the division. Colby Covington, who's one of the best wrestlers in the division currently, were able to take down Joaquin Buckley. Joaquin Buckley still reversed positions on Covington and knocked him out eventually. Kamaru Usman, I mean, he stuffed a few of the takedowns. Joaquin Buckley has good wrestling. He has solid takedown defense in all of his other fights. He has actually good offensive wrestling. He usually out-takedowns his opponent. He has good control. He's very physically strong. He's very powerful. He's not very accurate with his boxing. But I don't think this is a problem for Sean Brady. And another thing in the fight, I think Joaquin Buckley's cardio is so good. This dude will not gas out. Sean Brady gasses out in the third round. I don't see Sean Brady finishing Joaquin Buckley in this fight. And also, it's a completely different type of wrestling. Sean Brady has good ground game. His wrestling is nowhere near Kamaru Usman. I don't think he has the same power. I don't think he's undersized for this weight class. Yes, they're the same height, but Watkins definitely a bigger dude. Sean Brady, I don't think he'll be able to out-physicality Buckley. I think Buckley on the feet will just beat the shit out of Sean Brady, and I think Joaquin Buckley's going to finish Sean Brady. I mean, the power, the striking. Sean Brady's a terrible striker. And once he can't get his wrestling off, he's like a fish out of water. I think Buckley's just going to be able to walk him down, land big punches, and eventually get him out of there. Yes, Sean could get takedowns, but I think Joaquin's just too athletic. I mean, I picked Sean Brady to beat Michael Morales, and he got destroyed. And he clearly gets stunned by people that are very explosive. He doesn't really have that fast twitch muscle. Joaquin does. I think the striking is just going to be too much for Sean Brady to handle. I think Sean Brady does worse against strikers than Joaquin does against wrestlers. And we've seen Sean Brady struggle against Bilal Muhammad in the striking. We've never seen Joaquin Buckley struggle against Bilal Muhammad on the feet. He out-wrestled Nursultan Ruzibayev. He took down Stephen Thompson multiple times. He knocked out Stephen Thompson. I mean, he out-wrestled Luque at some points. He out-wrestled Colby at some points. And you just don't see Sean Brady out-striking anyone. And I think Joaquin will be able to stuff the wrestling. And I think on the feet, Joaquin eventually finds a finish. So I'm going to go Joaquin by KO. Alexander Volkov versus Waldo Cortez Acosta. I think this is a really easy fight to make. I think this is a very easy fight to pick, I mean. And I think the easy answer is Alexander Volkov. Volkov has beaten, in his last 4 fights, Tai Tuivasa, Sergey Pavlovich, Cyril Gane he beat, and then he beat Jailton Almeida. Now, let's go back to this Sergey Pavlovich. Volkov shut down Pavlovich. He beat him up on the back foot. He beat him up on the front foot. He out-technicaled Pavlovich on every level. Used his kicks, maintained range, nullified basically everything Sergey could offer. And if we go back here, Sergey did the same thing that Volkov did to him to Waldo. He shut down pretty much all of Waldo's offense. He made Waldo timid. He was beating up on Waldo. And you could just see he just couldn't do anything to Pavlovich. Then he knocked out Ante Delija, arguably one of the worst ranked heavyweights, after almost getting finished by Ante Delija. Then he knocked out the ghost of Chimeav. And then he knocked out Derek Lewis. None of these wins are anything compared to Pavlovich and Cyril Gane, and even Jailton Almeida. Almeida, the only time Volkov really struggles in a fight is when he's going against a good grappler. Waldo is not going to be able to run a wrestling clinic on him like he did against Despain. Volkov is a better wrestler than Waldo. Volkov has, arguably, I don't think Volkov is 6'7". I think he's closer to 7 foot than he is 6'7". He has a massive height advantage. He has a massive reach advantage. And I just think he's going to be able to pick apart Waldo on the back foot. I think he's just going to piece him up. He's going to use his leg kicks. He's going to kick him to the body. He has nasty body kicks, nasty kicks. Both of them have really good cardio. I think Costa's definitely going to throw more, but I think the more significant shots are going to come from Volkov. Both of them have kind of point styles in the UFC. They have kind of point fighting styles, and I think Volkov just has a lot more experience against high-level competition. Yes, the record doesn't display the greatest fighter, but again, he's had 50 professional fights, while Waldo has only had 19. Volkov is coming off a win against Jailton Almeida. Yes, he did get ragdolled in that fight, but he did end up winning him. And I think that's the right decision. I just think Volkov's a much more technical fighter. I think he's a better striker. Yes, Waldo has the boxing advantage, but I don't think Waldo will be able to close the distance on Volkov without being punished constantly. And the winner of this fight's definitely getting a heavyweight title shot after Cyril Gane and Tom Aspinall. Waldo, if he loses, probably fights Josh Okit. And yeah, this is one of my most confident picks of the card, I think. This and Tyra are my two most confident picks. So I'm going to go Volkov by decision. I don't think Volkov has the power to knock out Waldo. Because, Waldo was very durable. He fought Sergey and didn't get knocked down. Going against Tyra, this is my fight of the night. Joshua Van versus Tatua Tyra. I went in last year when Joshua Van was fighting Pantoja. Pretty much whoever the winner of that was, I was saying Tyra's going to walk through him. Tyra is the most talented flyweight in the world. Tyra has the best jiu-jitsu besides besides Charles Oliveira and Armin Sarukian in the UFC. This dude is the entire package. He got beat up by Brandon Royval. He had faced no adversity going into that Brandon Royval fight, and then he faced so much adversity in that fight, and he still got to a split decision. And he could arguably win that fight. Tyra has some of the best grappling I've ever seen. The system of him getting to the back is beautiful. I think Joshua Van's a paper champion. I think Tyra will beat Van easily. I don't think Joshua Van has anything to offer Tyra. Joshua Van is a very good boxer. Very slick. Great volume. Insane cardio. Mixes to the body very well. But, 5'5" to 5'7". Tyra's definitely more 5'8", 5'9". The power is, no comparison. Tyra has a lot more power than Joshua Van. Joshua Van overwhelms you. Tyra knocks you out cold. He has that Japanese strength. He has that Japanese power. And I think the grappling is going to be way too much for Van. Joshua Van's, one of his only losses are by rear naked choke. Oh, no, I didn't mean to click that. One of Joshua Van's only losses are to KO and to rear naked choke, right? Yeah. Tyra is just way too good, dude. I predicted Tyra to beat Pantoja, and I predicted him to beat Van. I think Van has this style where he gets in the pocket, and he stands very straight up, and he just lets go. He has incredible boxing combinations. But I think that will give Tyra the perfect opportunity to shoot a double leg, get him down. And if Tyra gets Van down to the ground, Tyra finds the finish. If he was able to do what he did against Brandon Moreno, he KO'd Brandon Moreno. Yes, it was a different Brandon Moreno than we've all seen before. But I think Brandon Moreno gave Van problems. And he didn't give Tyra any problems. And on the feet, people are talking like Tyra is a fish out of water. Tyra has really good boxing now. And he has so much more range than Van. I think Tyra hurts Van. I I think there's a better shot that Tyra knocks out Van than Van knocks out Tyra. Tyra has shown he's very durable. He's not going to get knocked out. He's not going to quit on himself. Joshua Van has a questionable chin, bro. Obviously he didn't get hurt in that fight. He got hurt multiple times by Royval. Got hurt multiple times by Bruno. Ray Tatsua didn't do anything. Cody Durden didn't do anything. Edgar Shirez almost knocked him out cold. Charles Johnson did knock him out cold. He has bad striking defense, and I think Tyra can keep his distance. And at distance, I think Joshua Van is like a fish out of water in this fight. He needs to get in the pocket. He needs to get in close. And I think Tyra is going to be able to keep him behind his jab, land some clean shots, and I think he hurts Van. I think he then takes Van down, and I think he finds the finish. I think Tyra round 1 or 2 submission. I'm going to go round 2 submission. And then we get the new champion. I'm so happy, Tyra. Tyra is my favorite flyweight, and he's been my favorite flyweight. I picked him in all of his last fights. Even against Hung Sung Park, who people were just shitting on Tyra for no reason. And I love Van. Van is some of the most exciting fights I've ever seen. He has one of my favorite fights in Brendan Royval. I don't think he stands a chance in this. And I think Pantoja would have beat him if he didn't break his arm. And I also don't like that Joshua Van's running around saying, I beat him fair. He should have not broken his fall with his arm. Yes, obviously, he shouldn't have. But you didn't do that. He did that to himself. I think Tyra submits him, and then I think Alexander Pantoja comes back, and we get Tyra versus Pantoja. And I think Tyra beats Pantoja, too. Moving on to the main event. I'm going to get to the nitty-gritty. I'm picking Sean Strickland to beat Hamzat. This is probably going to, be incorrect. Because all evidence, all tape, leads me to pick Hamzat Chimeav to beat Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland getting taken down by Dricus du Plessis 6 times in their first fight doesn't bode well for this pick. But that Anthony Hernandez fight does. He was able to pretty much negate all wrestling from Anthony Hernandez. And I think Sean Strickland didn't expect DDP to shoot on him. That's why his takedown defense was so laxed. And it also wasn't like he would get taken down and controlled for 3 minutes. He'd get taken down and immediately shoot back up. Sean Strickland has great get-up game, great defensive wrestling. He has really good takedown defense. And when his takedown defense falls, he falls in the correct position to get back up. He rarely gets held down. He gets back immediately. And I think he survives Hamzat's initial barrage. I really do. I think Hamzat's going to struggle to get him down early. Go out on a limb here, I think Sean Strickland survives the first minute without getting taken down. And I think eventually Hamzat tires. I think round 2, Hamzat starts taking heavy breath. Starts inhaling a lot of air. And Sean Strickland sees his opportunity. And then he starts jabbing. Then he starts keeping. Then he starts throwing that right hand. Then he starts keeping again. And I think he does that for the next 20 minutes. I think Sean Strickland wins by decision. I don't know. I don't know why I'm picking Sean Strickland. That press conference really doesn't help my cause. He got oblique kicked. I think Sean Strickland is just the better fighter. I think Hamzat is much, more talented. But I don't think Chimeav has cardio. I don't. And obviously he went 5 rounds against DDP. Anyone can go 5 rounds against DDP if they're lying on top of him for 25 minutes. Sean Strickland has defied the odds before against Izzy. Sean has a style to beat Hamzat. If he can't get the wrestling off, if he can't finish Sean Strickland within the first 2 rounds, I think the odds swing in Sean Strickland's favor. And on the feet, Hamzat's head movement, his defense is not there. He is a talented striker, but I think, again, Sean has gone against talented strikers, and he's made them look like fish out of water. And I think he does that to Hamzat, and I think he wins the decision or a late round TKO. He's implemented much more finishing instincts into his game. He added a knee to the body. I think the volume, I think the pressure of Sean Strickland just constantly waiting forwards. I think it's too much for Hamzat. And I think Hamzat wilts. And I don't think, I think, he goes up to heavyweight. Goes up to light heavyweight after the fight. I don't know. Smart money goes, if you're smart, you pick Hamzat here. And again, I've been wrong pretty much every main event this year. Like, I'm terrible at picking main events. I'll go 11-0, and then I'll lose the main event. Constantly. I got the last card right with Carlos Prates, but that was an easy one. I'm going Sean Strickland to win. By decision.